You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
So excited you could join me here today on this Friday review, where we have so much to cover, so much to go over. Really an exciting month. Looking forward to getting back in touch with you, share what's been going on really over this past week, and then everything we have planned for the month of September. So many fun things in the practice with the equilibrium, the health certification. So we'll be talking about those. A big group detox starting next week. I want to share that information with you, even if you're not participating, how you can kind of follow along. I have an amazing new pair of sneakers that's becoming quite popular, and I'll explain why today on the podcast. I've been using them myself in the gym and also with some outdoor workouts, so excited to share the results from those. And then also, one more thing is the super nutrient of the week. How could we forget? Every week bringing you one nutrient that I believe that you need to know about in order for you to truly take back control of both your health, yes, your health, but also in mind and body. And why that's important is that we never forget that as we're doing things to improve the body, like truly from a real health perspective. So if we're working on genuine nutrition, not fad-based nutrition, not eliminating one whole macro or anything like that, but really working on healthy, balanced, anti-inflammatory, overall low glycemic, natural-based nutrition, right? The foundation, predominantly plant-based, all of these things, they're helping to improve our mind as well. And when we're doing mind-based things such as meditation or hatha yoga, or we're going for a walk, we're doing something gentle, right? We're getting our rest, our sleep. Well, then we're also benefiting the body as well. That's why I never want to try to separate the mind from the body when we're talking about overall health, weight loss, and anti-aging here in the Cabral Concept. What we're really talking about is how can we combine the best of all worlds, right? The spirituality, the mental-based perspective, the mindset, right? As well as our overall health. And to have our health, well, we need to have the body to carry us through life. We need to be at the proper weight for our body. Some people at 5'8" will be great at 110 pounds, and some will be great at 170 pounds, right? Like there's a big variation depending on male and female, and then also depending on if you're an ectomorph, mesomorph, or endomorph. And we're learning all of those things through our weekly Ayurvedic dosha and body type podcast. So hopefully you've been enjoying those. 9.5 out of 10 people seem to be enjoying the Ayurvedic podcast. Once a week, we'll continue to go through those. For the 0.5 out of that 10, you'll have to bear with us because it does seem the majority of people are enjoying learning more about their Ayurvedic body type, their dosha, what that means. And also, as we start to progress each week, we'll separate the body, the frame, the structure from the psychology as well. Because right now, again, I know that I explain it each and every week, but so many people say, that's not my body type, because I'm more ambitious, or I'm a little bit more happy-go-lucky. Remember, you're talking about your mindset. You're talking about your mind. You're talking about your psychology. Let's not confuse that with the actual structure of our body. It's the structure of that body of where we're going to have to give it the predominant foods, the exercise, the rest, all of those things. Now, for the psychology, it plays a part. It plays a huge part, but it's different. It is very, very different for the recommendations that I'm going to give you. And that's why when we get towards the emotions and the mindset of the de-stress-based protocol, then I will start to talk more about the Ayurvedic dosha psychology. And again, there's a whole branch of Ayurveda dedicated to philosophy and psychology. So we'll be going over that as well. Look forward to sharing that with you on upcoming weeks. This past week, just yesterday, on episode 944, we were talking about how to exercise right for your body type. I do hope you tuned into that. That was a fun show to do. And today's show, episode 945, will have all the show notes. So as we're going through the show today, whether it's for the super nutrient, the sneakers that I'm recommending, or at least doing a product review on, and everything else, you can check those links out at stephencabral.com/945. All right. So what's been happening, really what's going on? Honestly, we're dedicated to completely two things right now inside of the functional medicine-based practice. Of course, besides us doing all of our consultations and talking with people all over the world, we're dedicated to create a better shipping center so that we'll be able to ship to Australia within 5 to 7 days from when the order is placed. The international being UK as well. Canada, we still consider it international, even though we're connected on the same continent. Those are going to be 5 days as well. And then for the United States, it's going to be 2 to 3 days. So pretty amazing. That begins on Monday, we're hoping. We're hoping this Monday is the start to that, if not Tuesday. So all orders placed by mid next week will actually go out with our new shipping service. I would love your feedback. The whole goal is to provide the very best. The number one goal is to provide the best functional medicine practice in the world. That's always been the goal. And that means serving our community the best way possible. That's it. We're always listening. We're always trying to improve. And I will go through one day all of the different improvements we've made based on your feedback. Well, shipping's been another one, right? So it wasn't our first goal to be the best shipper ever, right? That was something that we never did before. So it was not something that we mastered. We went by recommendations. We went with other big fulfillment companies, but they weren't up to par. Taking 10 to 14 days to get to Australia is unacceptable. So we said, how do we cut that in half? And how do we get things to eventually be able to ship to Europe this fall? And how do we get things in the United States to get there within 2 to 3 days, right? Because you want it as fast as you can get it on Amazon. Well, that's our goal as well. So we're doing all of those things that's consuming an enormous amount of time. It's been 6 weeks in the making, and we want to get it perfect for you. Updated tracking information, all that, literally. Updated tracking to Australia. So now you don't know that your package has just been shipped. You can actually see it in transit. I'm excited about that because I know that that's what you want. So if it excites you, then great. I want to be a part of that as well. And I have an amazing team that's implementing that now. Okay, second big thing is the certification. That's what we're focused on right now. Now we're revamping all of our shipping center and same products, but better shipping, and then the coaching certification. I've been consumed with it for the last 8 weeks, developing, the curriculum's already been developed, but actually putting it into presentations. It's over 20 to 25 hours or so of teaching material. And this is just the start. I want people to know that the initial 100 people that we have become the charter members, and you'll hear more about this on Monday, okay? So on Monday, I do hope to announce the first website where you can basically sign up for more information. But the first 100 people are going to get a phenomenal, just basically discount. They're going to be getting a great discount on pricing. And the reason is that we want them, as our charter members, to understand that this is probably, it's 100% of what we want to do, but 90% in the long run. And that's because we want those 100 people, we want their feedback. And guess what we're going to do? Just like everything we're going to do is we're going to listen to the feedback. And if it's humanly possible, we are going to provide that. Because this is a teaching-based curriculum. It's for people that are already practitioners and health coaches and personal trainers and doctors and acupuncturists and registered dietitians, yoga instructors, personal trainers, etc. And it's also for people that want to use it for their own health education, for their family, for their community, for their friends, but may not be using it as in an active practice. So we're actually going to have two branches to it. You'll see that coming up very, very shortly. But this has been basically consuming all of my time, all of my non-consultation-based hours. And it's a true labor of love. It's a tremendous amount of work, far more work than I could possibly have imagined, but it's going to be pretty fantastic. We're literally giving you every handout we use in our private practice. We're giving you everything, like literally everything that we use for overall teaching the de-stress protocol, for teaching our wellness clients, for teaching you that protocol that I talked about in the Rain Barrel Effect. Well, that's a 400-page book, and the de-stress protocol, and that might be 100 pages or 120. You're getting now 20 plus hours, all of the handouts to be able to use for yourself. And obviously, if you practice as well, you'll be able to become certified. So if you're not a health coach right now, this will actually teach you and allow you to become certified. So we're so excited about that. Tune in Monday. That will be episode 948, if I'm not mistaken. You can go to, hopefully you're tuning in. You can go to stephencabral.com/podcast for all of the most up-to-date podcasts when they do launch. But today's episode 945 and episode 948 will be our Mindset and Motivation Monday. I do hope to give you that link on that show notes page, so you'll be able to check that out, and I'm sure that I'll be able to link it up somewhere on Instagram as well, and in the Facebook group at cabralsupportgroup.com. So thank you everyone who's been asking about it. I know you want to know more details about it. I appreciate that. I truly do, and more information will be coming. Last thing of what we're going on for the most part this month, next Monday, I start my fall detox, and I know that we have many, many people joining along. I'm so excited again to do our second true community. Now, we've been doing this for a long time, but never really like as a formal group detox. Now, every season we're going to do it together. I'm going to be posting inside the group for those 7 days, and that will literally be at cabralsupportgroup.com. Even if you're not doing the Dr. Cabral detox, or you might do it at another time, or you just kind of see, how the community is doing, what's going on, feel free to follow along. You don't even have to participate. You don't have to comment, but you can just go to cabralsupportgroup.com. Very excited for our detox. I'm excited just myself. Listen, hey, if there was no one else doing it, I'd still be doing it myself, and that's because I'm committed to living a healthier life. And I know that my last couple weeks of summer, there's been a couple of cheat meals, a couple extra cheat meals in there, or as we say, flex meals, where I've indulged, I've enjoyed myself, and now it's time to get right back on track. I always say that there's that 5-pound buffer, right? Once you gain 5 pounds more than your ideal body weight, you really want to reel it back in. And I do the same thing myself. And I'm up that 5. And so now what I want to do is I want to decrease that inflammation. I want to get back into healthier eating. And I'm doing, of course, that this week. Labor Day is over here in the United States. The summer officially, unfortunately, is over. And we're getting into that fall season. My 2 girls are back in school. Got to drop them off this week. And now it's time for me to really get into my travel season. I'm going to be speaking, I think, at 5 locations in September and October. Some of them private events, some of them seminars. And I'm excited to be able to get to do all of that and really be able to, of course, continue on with the teaching, never more so than obviously the upcoming level 1 of the certification. So that's what's new. That's what's going on. That's what I'm excited about. The other thing that I've been enjoying a lot more is just testing out more products, trying out more products. I love the health and fitness industry. Like I always have. I really have. When I was a little kid, I loved playing sports, and I played sports all the time. When I was in high school, I did one sport every season. I got injured my senior year, but I never stopped enjoying sports. And when I got injured, that's when I started to get into weight training. I probably never would have really gotten into weight training the same way if I'd always been actively just playing sports, because weight training wasn't a huge part of it. But again, I've always loved this industry, the health and fitness industry. So one of those things is just like the new gear. That's why I like doing sprint triathlons. It's like there's so much gear. There's your bike, and there's everything that goes along with it, right? You've got the bike shoes, you've got all the special shorts. Like you literally have everything, and that's why it's a fun sport for me. Not trying to win any competition, but enjoying it. And one thing for me is I do enjoy my exercise. A lot of times, I'd rather be doing a couple other things. Like I'd rather be maybe doing a video, maybe recording an interview, maybe writing the curriculum, but I know that I need my own exercise. And I know that when I'm there doing it, I love it. I really do. And when I finish a workout, hardly anything is a better feeling than that. Like that's an amazing feeling. You just left the gym, or I might leave my studio, or I might do an outdoor workout because I work out outdoors when I'm in Maine. And it feels fantastic. Not always getting into it like, all right, now I got to change. I've got to do this, and this. And in Boston in the winter, you get snow and all that. I've got to bring 2 bags and a change of shoes. It's like there's a lot to it, but you feel absolutely fantastic, and it's absolutely worth it. Even if you're only doing it 2 to 3 days a week, it's so worth it. Well, one thing that you can do with your workouts is you have different types of sneakers, right? If you're into resistance training and you're into sprinting, one of the best types of shoes that you can be working out in is a 0-pitch heel, basically a completely flat shoe. And it's much better for squatting, for deadlifting, for lunging, for step-ups, and for basically gripping the ground. It allows you to utilize basically barefoot training, which I've talked about this many podcasts ago on barefoot training. And it was on a previous Training Thursday. And I talked about why there's nothing better than barefoot training, because you're literally activating the over 200 muscles, tendons, and ligaments in the foot, more than any other place in the body, right? That one joint, that one part of the body has more ligaments, tendons, and muscles than any other part of the body. Not combined, but any other part specifically. Okay, your shoulder doesn't, your hip doesn't, your knee doesn't, your elbow doesn't, your wrist doesn't, okay? That's why we have specialty, right? We have podiatrists. We have doctors that just specialize in the intricacies of the foot. Well, if you're always padded up with these big, bulky sneakers, then you don't have as much ground reaction. So when you push into the ground, you don't get that same ground force reaction pushing back up, which actually can weaken your lifts, like your squat, your deadlift, those types of things. But at the same time, you're eliminating a lot of the proprioception. And the proprioception is your body's ability to understand where you are in space. It improves balance. It engages the core in different ways. It allows your ankle, knee, and hip to begin to stabilize in certain movements, which then initially, well, I should say initially it comes from the ground up, but then you start to engage that core. You work on your posture. So I'm a huge advocate, always have been, of barefoot training. Now, there's limits to it, right? And I want to explain that. You want to use barefoot training when there's not going to be a lot of jarring or continual strikes. So if you're going out for a long distance run, even 2-3 miles on concrete or asphalt, I do not believe in barefoot training because that is not natural. Asphalt and concrete is not natural. Those types of strikes, heel strikes, and even if you're landing more midfoot, which I think is great, is still a lot of striking and more kinetic force or more ground reaction coming through the body that would be natural. Now, if you tell me you want to go out for a trail run for 2-3 miles on grass and on dirt and on things that are naturally cushioned, such as our earth, then great. I have no problem with that at all. Just work your way down from your normal sneakers to maybe a 5-degree pitch to a 3-degree pitch and then to a 0, barefoot, which I'm talking about today. That can be absolutely amazing, really fantastic. That works, but this is what I'm talking about more for the gym, for doing sprints, for if you do, certain types of yoga, you can actually wear a barefoot-based shoe. But what I'm talking about is getting the most out of training, and I'm talking about sprinting and doing your resistance-based training. So the sneakers that I've spoken about other pairs in the past. One of the ones that I'm loving right now are called Vivo Barefoot Trainers. And the ones that I'm using, just to let you know the exact pair, are the Primus Light Men's. I chose these because they're made of almost nothing, like literally nothing. They hardly weigh anything. So you don't even know that you're wearing something on your feet. You might ask, well, why wear anything on your feet then? Well, one is they do have a rubber-based sole. And so the sole does allow, so let's say I'm outside Maine. I do train barefoot when I'm in Maine if I'm just in my backyard. But if I'm going to be doing sprints or anything like that, a rock, I don't know if you've ever stepped on a rock on your heel as you're running. It literally makes you jump up in the air. The pain is so excruciating. And I've done that, not even running, just stepping on a rock. I'm like, what was that? Like some gravel or something. So this allows you to still get the benefits of barefoot, but train outside. So really, really easy. Again, running outside on trails, great. And if you want to do it barefoot, great. But again, rocks and things like that can cut up your feet and take you out of the game, not a great idea. The other reason is in the gym as well. Hygienic-based purposes, not dropping something or stepping on something in the gym as well. I just think it's nice as well. And I typically do that. I might actually slide my sneakers off every once in a while to do a deadlift or a squat because I'm a huge advocate of that. But if I'm wearing barefoot, then I don't. It's just if I'm wearing a regular pair of sneakers, I slide them off to deadlift or to squat. So the other reasons why I like these, they have so many different varieties to choose from. But the Vivo Barefoot that I'm using, the Primus Light, I love the story as well. I really do. There's so many companies to choose from now. This is a vegan-based company. All of their shoes that I know of, specifically the Primus Light for sure, but I believe it's all of them, are all vegan-based, and they're also no animal testing at all. Now, what are they made from? Believe it or not, 17, the one that I have, 17 recycled plastic bottles. So now we're doing something that's great for the environment. They make amazing shoes, and it's for a great cause or just it's for a great purpose too, which I believe is recycling the massive amount of plastic that we produce in this world. And it's also great too that there is obviously no cruelty to animals and no animal harm at all. A couple more reasons why I like this. And one is I travel quite a bit. I still want to be able to exercise even if it's just going outside for a jog or it's using the hotel gym. So what these sneakers do is they lay completely flat, like the flattest you can get, or you can actually roll them up into a ball and still use them, and it does not wreck the sneakers. The last reason that I really like these is they're mesh base for the top. They're breathable on the top, and they also, though, they have that rubber bottom, which allows you to grip the floor so you don't slide if you're doing speed skaters or any type of plyometric-based thing where you have to worry about your feet sliding if it's dusty or anything like that. So overall, great company, great sneakers. Highly recommend you check them out. Simply go to stevencabral.com/945, and I will link their company up in the show notes, and you can check them out. I just think that they're doing the right thing, good company, and probably more importantly, right, they're making a great sneaker. So check that out. Last but certainly not least, our super nutrient of the week. So as I'm going through all of my super nutrients, and there have been quite a few, right? I literally keep a spreadsheet because every time I'm like, oh, like this week I wanted to review iodine. I was like, I'm reviewing iodine because there's been so many questions on thyroid, and I just did a show last Wednesday on all the kind of underlying imbalances with thyroid. I'm like, I need to do thyroid. And then I look back at my notes and I'm like, I just did that on July 27th. It's only been 2 months. How do you forget? Not even 2 months. How do you forget? And that's obviously why I keep the checklist. So now I don't even know how many weeks into the year we are. Honestly, I have no idea. But let's say I'm just going to throw out a random number. Let's say we're 35 weeks into the year or so. Again, I have no idea how many in. That's how many super nutrients we've done. So we've done quite a few. This is going to be coming out on September 7th. I'm recording this the day before. So what I'd like you to do is, if you'd like, go back and check out all of 2018, all of the FR shows. Those are the Friday reviews. Each week I've done super nutrient reviews. Everything from vitamin B12 to maca to glutamine to ashwagandha to manganese to molybdenum to vitamin B1 thiamine to zinc. I've done stinging nettles. I did my favorite vegan-based protein on July 20th. Check out that show. So some really fun ones, and sometimes they're more common, and I want you to know why that they can be good for you or why you may not need them. And I also like to give some that you may not have heard about, such as today's, which is called boron. And boron is a trace mineral. Boron's not a mineral that many of us have heard of before because it's used in small amounts, but absolutely essential for the body. So I started learning about boron and a lot of these intricate minerals, I would say I'm trying to think back now exactly, about 10 years ago. About 10 years ago, I made a major shift in my study towards naturopathy. And I'm talking about traditional naturopathy. Like, what did they do thousands of years ago? And what did they even do about 150 years ago, during the late 1800s to early 1900s, when there were the original natural hygienists helping people heal and understanding a lot of the ancient-based work, but bringing it really up to speed with what we would call more modern day. And then I started learning about body types, and I started reading all these different things on fast oxidizers and slow oxidizers. And I was looking, it was very interesting because a lot of people that were slow oxidizers actually were missing or had lower levels of functional levels of calcium and functional levels of boron. I thought that was extremely interesting. So I'm like, boron, what is this thing, boron? So I started looking at the foods that was in and how it worked. Well, I want to give you a little bit of detail on that. I won't spend a lot of your time today. But boron right now is being used tremendously, like by much, much larger amounts in the general public to help prevent osteoporosis. So that's because, well, I'll give you a few different ways. So boron not only helps with calcium, magnesium, phosphorus-based absorption, but it also helps to balance pH levels. Now, this is interesting because the more you lean acid, and again, I know acid, alkaline, all the debate over that, and we know that the blood's going to maintain that normal pH of about 7.356. But if your body leans more acid, more towards the 7.25, 7.3, your body's going to be more acidic, right? But acids has so much more to do with that. It also has to do with waste. I will do a full podcast on this in the future because I don't believe in drinking a ton of alkaline water. I don't believe a lot of those things, but I do believe in helping your body maintain proper pH. That includes at a tissue level and at a blood level, because there are different compartments of the body that include stomach. They're all different, which have different pHs. Small intestine has a different pH than your large intestine, right? Which has a very different pH than the stomach right before it. And different than when the stomach has food in it than when it doesn't, right? So the pH can change. But boron helps to balance those pH levels. And it helps to balance, which we're now finding out, testosterone and estrogen. Really, really interesting. But in terms of the osteoporosis, going back to that, and osteoarthritis, is that if your body leans more towards that acid basis, then your body is going to lose or give up more of its calcium. And we know that the bones can become more osteoporotic the more acidic or even more cortisol there is in the blood. So it's interesting. So boron can help with the absorption of minerals, larger minerals, not trace minerals, but minerals, electrolytes such as calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus as well as a major mineral, but also from an absorption, but also from a pH-based level. So that's why it's being used for osteoarthritis as well as just building up and strengthening the bones. So when you see a lot of these bone formulas, most of them aren't necessarily as needed if you're taking in good whole food and you're using something like the daily activated multivitamin or daily nutritional support or something like that. Sure, you can take extra if you want, but even that, I recommend more of like a CalMag Complete. That's great overall calcium magnesium based vitamin because you don't really want to be taking calcium by itself if you're not taking magnesium as well, which is its partner in not crime, but partner in health. Like that's the truth, is they work well together. And by taking in the magnesium, by getting vitamin K, your daily smoothie, by getting your vitamin D, well, then you're going to have a better chance of that calcium not actually becoming lodged in your arteries and creating more atherosclerosis or hardening of the arteries or anything such as that. So boron, great for that. I talked a little bit about, kind of gave it away, of how it's helping to balance with estrogen and testosterone levels, helping a lot of women in menopause as well to balance estrogen levels, not become estrogen dominant overall. Another big thing that we use boron for is overall tissue repair and building up of muscle tissue. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to make you big or, you're going to look like a fitness competitor or bodybuilder. What it does is it helps with muscle tissue recovery. And we all need that because we should be exercising. We should be moving our body. It keeps us young. It keeps our metabolism strong. It allows us to eat more calories and it boosts our mood. Those are just some of the reasons we need that. Really, really important. Still some work to be done, but it looks like boron may actually be helping with fungal-based infections of the skin or overall rashes of the skin, and potentially with yeast infections as well. So really interesting to me with future research on this, on how we can be using this trace mineral, either as an antifungal itself, topically or internally, or in conjunction with other antifungal-based protocols. Okay, one more topic that I wanted to bring up with boron is that it's one of those things, like I spoke about last week with our super nutrient chromium, is it's helping to balance blood glucose levels. This is extremely important because if we keep our blood glucose levels more stable, well, we're better able to control cholesterol, triglycerides, type 2 diabetes, inflammation in the body in general. So super important to be using that as well. Many food sources. Boron comes from the environment. It is a trace mineral. It's going to be in the soil as long as you're getting good organic, good quality soil, and you're getting good quality foods as well, ideally organic. And it's in most vegan-based foods, or a lot of vegan-based foods. Beans and legumes, cherries, berries in general, walnuts, cans. It's in a lot of the squashes and sweet potatoes. It's in avocados. It's in oranges. There's a little bit in coffee. It is in chocolate, or at least cacao. It's in apples. It's in peaches. It's in apricots. It's in prunes. It's in figs. Not necessarily that you're not able to get it through whole food. You absolutely are. But what happens is sometimes, one, poor absorption, or two, we're going through it at a faster level because of higher levels of stress, or poor absorption in the gut due to candida overgrowth or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. The big one that we see is E. coli overgrowth. We look at that on a stool test. We look at candida and C. diff on an organic acids test. So what we do is we obviously promote all of those healthy foods. We really do. We're big proponents of that. Some of them we don't use on our candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol, but within about 8 weeks to 10 weeks, we're able to really add all of those back in. And then what we do is simply put with our daily nutritional support and our daily activated multivitamin, we're making sure that you're getting in the bare minimum, right? We're making sure that you're getting in just a couple milligrams of the boron to make sure that you're covered on all of your bases. It's one of those things that you certainly do not want to go overboard with. It's a trace. Trace means small. We're going with a trace mineral-based level of boron. We're not overdoing, but we need to make sure that we do get it. And that goes for children as well, meaning that children are growing. They still need these nutrients. So for kids, we're giving anywhere until teenagers of around 3 to 7 or 8 milligrams. For adults, or for teenagers, we're going about 15 to 20. And then for adults, we're going to give right around 20 milligrams or ingesting about 20 milligrams for the day. So I'll link up to the daily nutritional support as well as the daily activated multi in the show notes. You're welcome to check those out. Boron is not something that I do recommend to supplement necessarily individually with, unless you're working with a healthcare practitioner that believes that that's what's best for you, at least in the short term. What I recommend is that you do get it through your functional medicine multivitamin or all-in-one formula. Absolutely the best way to get it. But now when you see that on a label, you understand what it's being used for. Because remember, if you're going with a good functional medicine-based company, whether it's any of the companies that I've named in the past or not, or with our Equilibrium Nutrition, is that you understand that there should be nothing extraneous in a product. That everything in that product is meant to do something for your body, and at not too large a dose, but enough that gives you basically a fail-safe in addition to the current great nutrition that you're already doing for your body. So hopefully today's podcast was helpful. If it was, as always, please do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. And be sure to tune back in tomorrow for our community Cabral house calls, where we answer all of your questions each and every weekend. Always excited to get into those. Thank you so much. I hope you've had an amazing week, and I'll talk with you tomorrow. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only two ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.